There are just some creative choices I don't understand. Peter Jackson didn't have to show us the orcs being dug out of, like, a mud uterus and slashed out of a bag.
It's a very interesting choice for a scene, for sure.
Is that what we're supposed to think about orcs? Like, in my knowledge of orcs, that's the only time I've ever seen or heard of it.
Well, those are also Orahai. They aren't orcs. Orcs are different in that, I'm pretty sure. But maybe the same process?
So the difference between regular there's different breeds of orcs. It's actually noted in
there's
Lord
goblins and then man mated with goblin and blah 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 but
no, so there's no goblins. Goblin is just another word for orc.
Right, I imagine it's probably
there's no like subspecies. It's just that's just where if you're gonna call him a goblin, maybe he's just like a smaller orc.
It's sort of the way that I interchangeably use like gremlin and creature to mean like a little kind of guy.
Yeah, and so the Uruk-hai, like...
I actually didn't know that. I thought goblins and orcs were different creatures.
Not in Lord of the Rings.
No, I didn't know that. It's
not
crazy.
until they're slashing them out of mud uteruses.
They aren't really like goblins. Like the ones you see in the movies, a little like hunched over, like...
Yeah.
And they're like weedy, and they're usually the archers. It's just like... No, in like the actual book, that's just another orc.
I imagine that it's because we're associating a nominative difference between goblin and just the pejorative goblin. Like, that goblin archer to you might mean a specifically long-nosed, green-skinned archer, but when I say goblin archer, I mean look at that ugly little archer.
Yeah, like a little fucking...
Coincidentally, he works for Sauron and is an orc.
Yeah.
Which, last thing I'll say about the Lord of the Rings is the Uruk-hai, they were special because they were like more upright.
Yeah.
They were bigger, they had better gear.
Yeah.
Because Saruman outfitted them. And then they could fight in sunlight. And that was their big thing.
Oh, that makes sense.
They wouldn't get blinded.
Yeah, okay.
That was their big boast, which is why it's like kind of funny in the movie that they get blinded by the light. But anyway.
Oh, it is super ironic.
So...
Well, that leads me to my question. Like, is that something that we're supposed to think about orcs?
I don't know. I feel like it's supposed to show, like, body horror, disturbing, like, look at how primal and guttural this is.
Because when I think of orcs, I generally think of a species that is, like, green humans, but, like, more... Depending on, like, your art direction, more tribal or Nordic or or, like they're basically also humans, sometimes with a way better protein intake.
Like, you typically see them in very barbarian flavor.
Yeah.
But, like, barbarian in, like, how the Romans originally coined that term of, like, these guys speak this Babylesque language, and they're very vaguely more woodsy than we are.
Yeah.
Because we're city-goer Romans compared to them. So that's when I mean barbaric as far as, like, orcs go. Like, they're very, like, a barbaric kind of people. Typically, like, roam the steppes, maybe, like, some sort of, like, a lot of, like, typically, like, Mongol influence, or, like, sort of, like, noble savage influence with orcs. Sometimes not noble at all. I think this is basically, I'm talking about Warcraft, I'm talking about Elder Scrolls in this aspect.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But then there's also, the orc term as a pejorative stems from, mindless barbarian from the steppes, basically. Unga bunga savage that you shoot that because you can't negotiate with it.
Just evil, which all these things I love because 40K
yes,
has my favorite version of orcs, which have pretty much all those qualities, except they also just do everything different, and it's so good. They're so dumb, and I love it.
And with that, welcome back to Scryer's Room. I am your host, Famfare.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mario.
And today, we're going to be talking about the orcs of Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah.
So they're my favorite. I know Tony knows quite a bit about this. Kevin does also know quite a bit about orcs because we, rant to him all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Or me,
Serenade
especially.
him.
But I am not a learned man in this regard. I've heard a lot about these orcs.
Yeah, so they're my favorite. I love them.
Spelled with a K in this case.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the core differences in Warhammer. You have to coin. Orc, or O-R-C, is from Warhammer Fantasy Battles. Orc, O-R-K, is from Warhammer 40,000. There's a distinct difference.
Which I got to look up when Rogue Trader, or First Edition, I guess, you could consider it was published. Because that makes me wonder, it's like, who did it first, 40K or Mortal Kombat.
Oh baby,
because that's how orcs do. They just swap out C's with K's and shorten. You just throw different letters in there.
All right.
That's
so for a moment, I lived in a world where there are orcs in Mortal Kombat, spelled O-R-K, and I desperately wanted to know more about them.
Yeah, that's what I thought he said too.
Yeah.
I was like, are those orcs also spell things with K's?
Yeah.
Interesting motif.
And Mortal Kombat is already insane, where it's just cowboys and samurai and wizards and gods.
And Goros and shit.
I've never heard of an orc in it.
You could consider the Tarkatans to be kind of orcish.
Yeah, we'll do that on a different episode. I've gotten us off track.
The Mortal Kombat episode. Oh, baby.
But yeah, so I'm going to do a series. It's going to hopefully not take too long, but we're starting off with a just general overview. I'm going to explain what orcs are.
That's right. We're back into the lore episode.
How their culture works, how their bodies and biology work, different kinds of subtypes of orcs, the history, then some of the speculation, because
it's my understanding that there's
40K, so there's always questions.
Unreliable narrator.
Yep.
Conflicting perspectives.
And some of the most argumentative nerds in the game.
Oh, dude, they're so passionate.
Yeah.
So sweaty, so angry.
However, so I'm not going to get into nitpicky stuff. Anything I have a personal stance on that I feel as though I have sufficient evidence to argue, I'm going to do that at the very end. Okay.
He has to lay out his case.
Yeah, I'm constructing my grand, theory of orkiness, of all the things I think how you can interpret most of the stuff. But anyway, so Warhammer 40K, I think we're mostly familiar at this point. It's the year 40. It's the 41st millennium.
There's grim darkness.
Yeah, it's the far future. Only it sucks
war.
ass.
Yeah.
It's nothing but war.
There's humans, there's bugmen, there's blue people, there's chaos gods and wizards, but there's also these green fellas with a funny accent.
And they're having a great time.
Best time, from my understanding.
Love it. So orcs are the only ones in the modern setting really having a good time.
Yeah, they really are, man. Chaos Boys argumentative,
Yeah, man.
It's ups and downs for those guys.
They're not stable. You can't you can't really have a good time when you're fully insane.
Orcs really aren't either, but they're predictable at least though. But so I'm going to talk about orcs as they are now because
they've changed a lot.
We're getting into the lore, which some of it I think is kind of dumb, but whatever.
Those are the best parts.
So this is one of the things I'm going to contest later. It is generally accepted that 60 million years ago, in the very distant past,
dinosaur times,
and in a younger Milky Way galaxy, this ancient race, the Old Ones, they started fighting this other ancient primordial race called the Necrontyr.
Oh baby!
Who, if you're not familiar with that, they become the Necrons, the evil,
the space mummies.
Yeah, the space mummy robot Terminator men.
Yeah,
and. So they get into this huge war. Also, the Necron being ruled over by the Catan star gods. It's a whole thing. They're Cthulhu's. Get over it.
They're Cthulhu's. They work with the mummies, and they're at war with a group called the Old Ones, who are responsible for
creating. I think this one's definite is the Eldar, but then supposedly, I've never seen direct confirmation of this. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. They also created the Orcs as foot soldiers as well.
Yeah, that's a speculation.
Those are quite different creations.
And the Catan, correct me if I'm wrong, are referred to as star gods because they can just feed off of stars.
Yeah,
they just go into a star and eat that shit.
When they first, that's why I won't get into it. Yes, they eat stars. That's how the Necrontyr first found them. But then they found out that souls are tastier, and so they just ate all the Necrontyr souls as they threw them into the biotransference furnaces. And they came out Necrons, and then they gobbled them all up. The Catan did. Yeah, that's how they became slave people until they pulled.
I didn't realize. So they literally sold their souls.
Yeah,
quite literally for immortality, and now they're just robot mummy men. Okay.
Well, they didn't know it was going to be horrible.
They did.
Yeah, yeah, they had no clue. Yeah, a Faustian bargain, classic Faustian bargain.
Yeah, the deceiver was basically like, come on, relax, guys.
Yeah, give it a rest.
Yeah, because the Silent King made the deal with him.
My
But,
favorite, my favorite line that gets used a lot whenever you have somebody making a deal with the devil or anything where they give up their soul is, "You won't even know it's missing." Because the whole bit is because you are the one I'm taking. I'm taking your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so supposedly the old ones also created. They weren't the orcs at the time. They were the Krork, which are like super orcs, basically. Each one was supposedly a minimum of like around like 12 to 13 meters tall.
Oh my!
So that's
fucking
like
God.
that's like 30 something feet. Very huge, and then they were extremely intelligent and had sophisticated technology. Because they were foot soldiers designed to fight Star God Cthulhu creatures and their immortal robot minions.
Right. They had to be half Godzilla,
Yeah, and then
half Ultraman,
so they were pretty much created to be
and green.
a fast reproducing and self-sustaining race, like a population. So basically an army that just fuels itself,
Right.
and is directly counter to the Necron because they have no warp presence, and orcs are steeped in the warp. So that being said, that once the Necron went to sleep, were defeated the Star Gods, the whole thing. We're not here to talk about that. The Krorks didn't have a job anymore, but they're programmed to just only fight.
Right.
So that's what they did. They started fighting.
Because the Catan went into hiding, right? Like they.
The Catan were shattered,
Yeah.
and then sealed, or most of them were anyway, sealed in Tesseract, Volt.
Yeah, but
things.
the Necron tier, the Necron now, and the Necron went into basically like all of them went into like into sleep for some reason. I remember that being a case. Like part of like the big thing with like third edition is like, oh, the Necron are waking up, and this idea that like people would like go to a tomb world and not know it's a tomb world,
Right.
and there's just it's the Necron planet, and they're just underground or whatever.
Right. Because it's been like 60 million years.
Yeah.
This is because, like, basically, as I understand it, it's like without the Catan, it would have been too much trouble to try to fight the now Eldar Empire.
Yeah, and so they thought if they go to sleep and wait a bit, they'll fizzle themselves out, and then we can go fuck them over.
Yeah, and then we'll wake up and everyone will be dead, and it'll be great.
Yeah.
I mean, almost all of them are. That's like a big part of it. The Warhammer 40k universe is always at war.
Yeah.
There are less and less Eldar every day.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing though.
Well,
Is
but-
they didn't expect the Imperium of Man.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, they were right about the Eldar. They fizzled themselves out, but the Imperium. Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about orcs.
But yeah, so the Krorks start fighting whoever, probably
whoever's
each
around,
other.
Yeah.
They definitely started fighting the Eldar. Then the Eldar also like kind of knew this was going to happen,
Right.
and so they kind of just started like putting them down.
Yeah.
Like they it's like you did your like,
All right, old Yeller.
yeah.
I'm not going to reintegrate a not jolly green giant.
Yeah, the not jolly green giant.
No, it's like-
he's really cramping our style, guys.
It's like
Yeah.
you literally can't.
Yeah.
Like they're hardwired a certain way.
They hate you down to a genetic level because
then-
they were a machine built for purpose, and that purpose is squish elf.
If the Eldar or if the old ones did in fact make them, the old ones are gone. So if they had a means of controlling them, like they're not around anymore. So whatever.
Right. So no one's controlling them.
So yeah, that is generally
That's the prehistory.
the background, and then because they were
Oh
mostly
my god, orcs were dinosaurs 60 million years ago.
pretty much.
Oh, man.
They were big megafauna guys.
That's
I like
hilarious.
They were pretty much reduced to such like low numbers, and then weren't able to fight, tough opponents anymore because of that. That they regressed over 60 million years. They devolved into orcs.
Yeah, no, they're smaller and not as
Are much
good.
smaller, much less intelligent, and just overall, just like pretty much like a shadow of
I mean,
what a
it
Krork was.
makes sense to me. Like the reason that things like persist in a species, like according to like evolution, is like the things that allow you to like be more successful are what you keep. And being big is probably going to make them less successful because they need like more to go off of. So they get smaller. They don't need their brains because they're just beating on each other. So those get dumber. I see this. I buy that they used to be giant genius dinosaur orcs.
Yeah, I agree, but not for your reasons. But yeah, so they became the orcs, and then over 60 million years.
Yeah.
And then now that after the Eldar got their shit kicked in because they birthed Slaanesh and then were mostly eradicated in the 30th. No, that was in the 20th, right? 20th.
Oh yeah, millennium? I think so. I want to. Because
that's when the Age of Strife started, right? About 20,000.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
because the warp storms. That's when the brothers Slaanesh of the warp storms.
So by the time of the modern setting, orcs have been after like the Horus Heresy and the Imperium was like really really hurt. Like orcs, I'll get into the War of the Beast later, but for like 9,000 years, orcs are like 8,000 years ish. Orcs have been just chilling and becoming more populous. Like they're
just spreading,
having been left to their own devices for so long. Like they'd spread to more corners.
Yeah.
Like they're basically just fucking everywhere in the galaxy. Like you can't get rid of them. And now they have made a resurgence and are being led by the big boy himself, Gazkul Maguruk Thraka, the biggest, baddest orc currently alive in the setting.
The biggest and the baddest.
Yep. He's the Grand Warlord.
His model is so good. They did a great job. He's so big.
But I'll talk about him later.
Oh, man.
For right now. So I'll get into it. So the orcs, right? So they've made a huge comeback. Mm-hmm. They're fucking everywhere. And it's like, well, okay, like, well, why are orcs a problem? Like, what makes orcs like such a big threat? And it's like, so we went over that they're a bioweapon.
Yeah.
Regardless of who made them. But orcs are like such an issue because, number one, they reproduce extremely quickly because they are an animal, fungal, plant hybrid probably.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I've come to understand them.
You can argue this a lot of ways. They're like, you can't really argue that they're animal fungal. The plant thing people argue about, but I can provide evidence for that. There's multiple sources that say they have algae in their skin and blood, and that's like a huge part of like what makes them like physically tough is that the algae in their skin forms like a waxy layer. This is according to first Codex 1, which gets like more like it's like harder and more gnarled as they get like older, making their skin tougher.
Yeah,
and the Codex 2 says when they get like injured, like the cut will scab over with like a mushroom and like algal like patch within like hours, and then we'll just be like almost like the orc will be functional within like a few hours to like half a day maybe.
Jeez.
And it'll just be fine.
Not quite Wolverine healing, but close enough that like it's really gonna affect a battlefield.
No. So orcs take not that long, maybe like a year to mature.
Oh.
That's it, really.
Oh man, so boys be popping out quick.
They happen fast because they reproduce asexually as a fungal species.
Right.
And so the spores just come off of them. Like they don't intentionally do that.
Right, it's not an active process.
Yeah. And then wherever the conditions are correct, which is a lot of places, as long as it's like kind of damp and dark, it's good. Like they'll latch
just
on,
like every
they'll start to grow.
Mold.
Yeah. And then they release the most spores when they die.
That makes sense.
So killing an orc
makes the orc problem worse.
Yeah, like you got to be real thorough with orcs. Basically, you gotta have to have, if you're gonna try to eradicate them, you gotta have a scorched earth policy because that's nothing else will do it.
Yeah,
like you can beat back an army of orcs on a planet or whatever, but if you didn't take care of that, they're just gonna come back.
There's gonna be more orcs.
A few years, maybe.
There's a lot of literature, like a lot of lore about like planets laid low because like every X amount of years the orcs just come out of the mountains and we don't have the forces to actually like get them out of the mountains.
Right.
We can just beat them back, but every year we have less dudes and less guns and less tanks, and they're just as crumped up as they were last time because they reproduce in a fucking year and we're people.
Yeah, and then it's
and eventually the planet is taken over by orcs. It's just too late.
How do you scour the mountains?
Yeah,
if those are spores in a cave, that's enough.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah, and a lot of the planets, a lot of the resources.
You got to go full man-bear pig, where you just scour the area in molten lead,
like an agri world. Like that planetary governor is not going to have the fucking resources to be able to fucking do that. So eventually, the farm planet gets taken over by orcs. Gosh, R.I.P.
My lord.
So, in orc, your average orc tends to be as large as about a human,
right?
Roughly, like an adult man. At the same size, but at the shoulder though.
Right.
Because
they hunch.
Orcs, they don't hunch. Oh. That's just where their head goes.
Oh.
So it's orcs' heads naturally just kind of jut out from where their chest in between their shoulders. And
safer.
So they would be taller if you just
right, if they had a straight spine
if you did it human
an
way,
L shape.
They also tend to be pretty bow-legged. So they are kind of hunched, but the neck thing, that's natural. And then they also think it's stupid that human heads, stick upright because it's look at it, it's out in the open for everyone to shoot at. It's stupid.
Yeah, it really helped us when we needed to maintain holding a heavy weight upright in order to have a nice big heavy brain that thinks real good and get us out of the prairies. After that, it has been quite a hindrance.
So that's an average orc, and then even the most average orc, they're extremely tough.
Right.
So I went over the skin thing. Whether you want to think it's algae or whatever,
right? Who
cares?
They definitely get tougher over time.
Yeah, it's their skin is tough. They have more muscle mass than your average man. Their internal organs are very rudimentary, so they're simplified. They don't have as many organs, and they do the same function as most of the human organs, but they're less complex. So orcs can take hits basically to their kidneys and just be ah, and then he's probably fine.
Right.
It'll fix itself, and then or he can just get a quick patch from a doc, or himself if he feels like it. He can just get a medical squig.
A medical squig?
Yeah, I'll get into squigs in a minute.
Sure.
But yeah, so orcs are so durable that they are virtually immune to disease. Unless it's a Nurgle plague or something, and even then, maybe not.
There has to be some level of wizards involved for them to get sick.
The orcs are so durable that even when gene stealers infect them, the orkiness typically wins out over the gene stealerness.
Well, so it's...
I didn't even know gene stealers could gene steal.
So I don't know. I don't have many instances of this where I've read about it, but in one of the Kane novels, this happens. Gene stealers infect orcs, and they do become infected, and they're obedient. But then it's they can't propagate from there.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
They don't have sex with
because they don't reproduce.
So they were obedient to the gene stealer.
So
okay.
Those ones they become part of the hive mind, but it's their spores aren't going to make hive mind orcs. They're going to be regular ass orcs.
Right.
So it's you can gene steal them, but it's it kind of just stops in its tracks. There.
Okay. I remember hearing somewhere that the orkiness wins out. That if that's not been confirmed, then disregard me.
Old lore might say that. I don't know. I haven't read it anything that states that. That's the only anecdote that I can provide.
That might be something that you would find in more of a Tyranid or
maybe one of the codexes. Yeah.
So they're to give you an idea of how durable an orc is. You shoot him in the fucking chest. You empty a whole clip of, say, even a desert eagle or something, and he's probably fine. You probably just made him really mad.
Right.
Goodness.
This is...
Yeah, because one thing... Okay, so in Warhammer 40,000, the standard issue guardsman weapon is called the lasgun. Mm-hmm. And we, in the community, typically call the lasgun the flashlight because it is very weak compared to the other arsenal within Warhammer 40,000.
Right.
But the interesting thing about the lasgun is that it has more stopping power than modern-day firearms. So that just gives you a perspective of what we're fucking dealing with here. We're a gun better than the M16. If you will note a clip of that into an orc, he's probably fine.
I mean, imagine
a lasgun has a 16% chance to wound an orc.
imagine how much warfare would change if you can't count on the guy you shot to bleed.
I'm sorry, a 33% chance, yeah. Imagine if 2/3 of the shots you pumped into someone didn't do anything.
Yeah. And these are better than past guns, and also, even if you get him, they won't bleed to death. You have to make sure he fully dies.
Yeah, he has to fully be not moving, not breathing. He's not going to bleed out. That's not what they do.
Right.
Like, well, I mean, they can,
but like the level
you can't count on it. You can't count
exactly.
on
You gotta
it.
make sure.
You know how many of them show up with like big old construction Transformers arms?
Like there
Regular guys can't survive having your arm blown off and then walk it off.
Like what? There was a key shift in warfare around World War I, World War II era, where we designed bullets not to kill a man but to fell a man, so that 2 of his buddies had to drag him away. We've taken out 3 combatants. That used to be a whole philosophy behind warfare. That would never work on the orcs.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. Is like they don't fucking care.
Your wounding bullets are now taking 0 men out of... Well, it's taking 1 man out of it. You.
Yeah, if you're not destroying them utterly, then you're fucking losing, dude.
So like orcs can lose like whole body parts, and then like again, like if you're fighting an orc and you cut off his arm and you think like, haha, I have like pure advantage now. It's just like if you like stopped for a minute to like pat yourself on the back, like he probably didn't like flinch and then is now cutting off your head.
Right.
Like orcs will lose like an arm or a leg and then just keep going and just be mad about it.
It's a good fight.
And then they're like at the end, if once everything's over, what they're probably gonna do is be like, "Oi, where's me arm?" And then they'll pick it up and then they'll go get a pain boy to stitch it back on.
Stitch it back on.
Or bolt it back on.
It's an arm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of our what many people consider like the first great literature, or like the first piece of like the hero's journey. It's really important that the monster dies when you cut off its arm. Grendel dies when his arm is ripped off. And these guys are like, nah.
No.
That just made me a couple pounds lighter.
Even if your arm or legs are destroyed, you can, as long as there's spare bits laying around, like from other orcs, like if they don't need them or you decide they don't need them, you can just you can use those too.
You can be an oops all arms orc who stepped on a landmine and just replaced your legs with other arms.
Yeah, even brain damage doesn't necessarily kill them. So, like the big boy himself, Gazgul Thraka, got his brain pulped by a bolter shell. And after he got operated on by Doc Grotznick, who gave him just random assortment bits of brain matter and just stitched that on, and then put it all in an adamantium case. Gazgul, he came back stronger than ever. Now he's the prophet of the Wa.
I am imagining
God bless.
That he is taking all the random bits of brain in his little laboratory. He's like, we've got to separate them out. We can't have too much other brain in there. Otherwise, that's the orcs what's gonna wake up. But we want the big boss. We want Gazgul. We got to make sure by volume it's mostly Gazgul and then like 49% donor. And he's just like blending them like you would do like mushrooms in a lab to like get like a substrate together. And he's just like sort of passing. And that's mostly the boss. There he is. Find me the finest box we got for this brain. And they bring out adamantine, you said?
It's the butt plate of
of course.
Set of Terminator armor.
Yes, that's so disrespectful.
Butt plate. Orcs rule.
Your scenario, not so much. You're giving him too much credit. He just had random bits, even noting that like.
Well, that's why it's so disrespectful, because this is like a relic of the bygone era. And he's like, nah, it's just some scrap, man.
And he had like various bits of brain. Some he noted were maybe going a bit off.
Maybe going off?
Yeah, smelled a bit funny. And yeah, you just cobbled it all together and bang, bang, boom. There you go.
All right, I was imagining like an orc in like a big goofy lab coat, like this is a cartoon. But now I'm more imagining like an evil, like a clearly evil lab coat situation. But instead of showing him like doing all the science, he's just clearing off his cutting board into the open top of his head. And he's like, that's about right.
That's kind of the basic approach. There are examples of orcs getting hit in the brain and it not killing them, just has like but had like a weird effect. One is Say Yes Yag from Dagabo Rides Again, which is a little short, I guess I think it's a novella. He's an orc in this one Wa who took a kind of like Gazgul, took a bolt around to the head, but it was a dud,
right?
And so it kind of just stayed in there, and then his brain just sort of healed around it,
right?
And then it had the effect that he's like exactly the same, except he can't say no to people. So it doesn't matter who it is, what you're asking him to do.
Sure, that might as well happen.
Funny.
He will say
silly.
yes, and
That's
he will
like
do
a
it.
Flintstones plot.
That's literally like a Flintstones character.
So he has a group of he's like a freebooter, and then he's got like a group of freebooters who like are his like
the yes men.
Yeah, they like watch him, make sure nobody
takes
advantage
advantage
of him. The good boys looking out for the guy. Good.
So another thing to give you an idea of how tough orcs are. This will be the last example. Is they can just get they can lose their whole body, and then just get transplanted onto another orc body, and they're good. This happens to one of the newer orc characters, Uftak Blackhawk. He was just like like a boy basically, and then in the story where there's away, he gets blown up basically,
right?
And as he's dying, like his head just there's like still they live after they're for a while, like without a body. Right. Like as decapitated heads, he's talking somehow without lungs to the doc that's there, Drawsfang. He's just like, all right, well, put me out of my misery, send me back to Gork and Mork, start all over again. And then the doc, because he was with a knob who got his head blown off, and the doc was eyeing up his body, and he was just like, you look about the right size. He's just like, oh really? He's like, hell yeah. And so he just takes his head.
Hell yeah. He puts it on the knob.
Yeah, he has to
Digivolve.
He has to clip the end of it. He saws through it. He's like, this is going to hurt a bit. And then just stitches it on and then gives him an injection that links his nerve endings. But it hurts
right.
It's nerve pain.
It hurts like a bunch of nerve endings suddenly got activated.
And then after that he healed. He was good. He's a knob now.
Good
shit, he got a bigger, better body.
Hell yeah, upgrade.
So the way that I saw this was he gets blown up in whatever thing, he's having a great time. And then, in movies where somebody gets blown up by a mine or a explosive in the road or something, and it's showing them coming in and out of consciousness as they're being taken into the hospital. And it's all of the same imagery, but none of the orcs seem very concerned. They're not rushing him. They're like, and then we got a hit. Let's take him to one of the pain boys. And then all of the same imagery. And then he's in a hospital bed. Comedically, it's a hospital bed. He's got the nose tubes in him. He's just a head on the whole bed. He's just on the pillow. And he's like, tell it to me straight, Doc. Am I gonna bash him again? And he's like, I don't think so, mate. They blew off your whole body. And the orc is just like, I understand. You gotta let me go, Doc. And he's just like, now wait just 1 second. I took the Hippocratic oath. Hippocratic.
Oh my god.
And it says, first we must do harm. I have this body with what got his head blown off. And he's like, we can make you do harm again, boy. And he's like, by Gork and Mork, yes!
Permission to die, Sarge? No.
So I lied. Last example of how tough orcs are, you can revive them from the dead.
Yes.
If you're good enough.
If you're good enough.
So Gazgul died. Got killed, got beheaded by Ragnar Blackmane.
Yes.
Chapter master of the Space Wolves.
Oh, he's not the chapter master. He's just the hero.
Oh, I thought he was a chapter master.
No, I think there's
he's just the favorite.
Maybe he is now. Maybe he got promoted. Is that maybe that must be recent lore? Because I'm pretty sure it's a different space.
Either way, badass.
Yeah, he's a renowned hero. There's a lot of stories about him. He's a good guy.
His name's Ragnar.
Cut his head right off, and then Doc Grotznick was just like, meh. It made some improvements, built him a new set of armor, and then stitched him back together, kind of like Gilliman almost.
Bobby G.
Yeah, because he's being held together by his armor, and then so is Gazgul, but I'm assuming he's going to heal up and be fine.
Right.
But yeah, and then he just blasted him with like a giant green laser that could destroy a planet.
Sure.
Brought him back to life. And then another
do
example,
two things.
An orc that was stitched together Frankenstein monster style and brought to life by a pain boy is Warlord Urgok from Blood of Ajax, the novel. And yeah, he was literally just Frankenstein together, reanimated somehow. They don't go into it, how that was accomplished. And then he was big enough that he became the boss instantly.
Right.
Over the pain boy that made him.
Right.
And then he eventually became the warlord. He's super fucked up though, but
yeah, all of his
he
boys
still
were
was
like,
brought to life.
Fire bad, yeah.
He was still alive and was bad enough to become a warlord.
Right.
Although he was like super fucked up and.
But he was dead before.
Yeah. And then so another part. So that's like an orc's body, how tough they are.
Yeah.
Why like physically they're such a threat. But then there's another aspect to orcs, is that a key part of them is that they subconsciously produce psychic energy. This is called Wa energy.
Yes.
Now, in the Warhammer universe, is psychic energy directly related to the warp?
No.
Or okay.
Well, I mean, it does the same stuff. Like it can
but
achieve.
That doesn't mean that they're connected. Okay.
That's what makes orcs like even more distinct than a lot of other races. Is that
they're psychic without being.
They're
warp.
psychic, but they're distinct from the warp. Like they don't rely on the warp for their psychic energies. They produce it themselves.
I mean, it makes sense if you think of the warp as like this psychic conglomeration of energy. Like that doesn't mean there can't be a second conglomeration of that energy.
Yeah. This one's green instead of purple.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Specifically, the Dominion of Chaos in the warp is the realm of chaos.
Right.
Like there's other bits of the warp.
Right.
Like, it's infinite.
Yeah, I was about to say it's infinite. There's everything else there.
Yeah, and that's why Aegis Sigmar is assumed to be taking place in the warp.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so they produce this energy.
Warhammer's great.
Which I said Wa.
Right.
Let me take a second to explain what a Wa is. So Wa, which is Wa, spelled with usually a minimum of 3 A's and a GH.
Yeah.
And one exclamation point minimum is it's a battle cry. It's also a religious crusade / like mass migration.
Right.
So
it's like if the Force also meant jihad.
Yeah, and one of the things that builds to a Wa is just orcs gather in such numbers that there's a buildup of the Wa energy that it hits a critical mass and then spills over, and it directly influences the orcs, basically whipping them up into a frenzy.
If there's enough of them there to start a fight, they feel inclined to start a fight.
Well, it's not just that. It's like they're filled with like basically like religious zeal to go on the crusade. It's not like they start beating the shit out of each other. Like they'll do that, sure.
Well, yeah.
But it's like that's not
their regular behavior, not influenced by
They
that.
galvanize their eagerness to go fuck up, go crump some people,
and they
get way more industrious.
Yes, they start to work together. So mechs start getting inspired and then start working together.
Yeah, one of my favorite bits about orcs is that they are one of the laziest species in all of Warhammer 40,000. They do not like when they're not galvanized by Wa energy. The orcs are either fighting or lazing about. They don't like farm.
They don't need to do anything.
They don't have hobbies.
Yeah.
Like that's not a thing that they do. Either they're fighting and crumping shit, or they're lazing about. Typically, Gretchen do all the work. Like that's what the Gretchen rebel all the time because it's horrible.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into the subspecies in a bit. But yeah, that's like what a Wa is they get whipped up. They start building crazy shit. Spaceships usually, or just like tanks and stuff or whatever transports. If they haven't conquered the planet yet, they're going to do that, and then they're going to expand from there.
How do they know how to build spaceships?
Oh, I love this part. Do you
they
want to
just
go into this?
we're not there yet.
Okay.
That will be revealed later. Okay.
Yeah, they get there. But yeah, so the also important that goes with a WA is that it has to be guided by a war boss. So unless there's one orc who's bigger and stronger and meaner and just bullies all the other ones into listening to him, or has proven his worth as like a commander or like a strategist, a fighter, what have you, he's got to corral all the orcs together and show them he's the biggest, he's the baddest, I'm in charge, this is what we're doing. And then because if there's no head, there's no war boss, then it collapses back into infighting until a new one is crowned, basically. And then once a war boss and his WA expand enough, usually once they've hopped around and gone to like a few planets up to like they've conquered a whole planetary system, then they become a warlord, which is, so it's like every warlord is a war boss, not every war boss is a warlord.
Gotcha.
Warlord is basically like, I have such an amount of orcs and like
I'm a war boss to war bosses.
yeah, things under my command. Like I have an empire essentially. Yeah. And so that's like the top of the rung of like orc society. I'll get into the different like castes of orcs, I guess you could call them. I forgot to mention also a huge part of a WA, right?
Right.
Is they build gargants.
Gargants
are orc equivalent of titans.
Oh.
So titans are giant mechs, right?
Yeah. Those are the Gundams.
So pretty much an orc mech is hardwired. Like if they haven't discovered Gargant, or if they haven't figured out Gargant or, grown big enough, I'll get into that, to build Gargants, they'll see an Imperial Titan maybe on a battlefield. This isn't like the first codex, the whole little short story about a mech. He sees an Imperial Titan and he's just like, what is that?
It's so beautiful.
That's awesome. And he's just like, what do you think it is? Oops. And then he's with like another orc and he's like, you think it's the Emperor?
Is that him?
That would be him, all right.
They talk about him a lot. I think I'd follow that guy.
Like, I've never seen a human thing that big. It's got to be him, right? And so they think it's the Emperor, and he's just like, I'll build Gork and Mork. And that's what a Gargant is. They're effigies to Gork and Mork.
I love this.
So they're walking idols that are just also like devastating war machines.
So we're talking...
But every single one of them is dedicated to their gods, and it also functions as like a symbol for the boys to rally behind.
Right.
It inspires them to see, like, for them they can imagine
the living gods.
Yeah, the Gargants stomping around, and it's just like, look at Gork, fuck them up. Like,
that's
awesome.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Give him hell, Gork. Give him hell.
Let me tell you how easily humans would fall into this exact same thing. Have you ever seen those Transformers movies? All the soldiers who are like, get his ass out of his prime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The mechas are fighting, and he's like, yeah, get him out. Yeah, hell yeah. I love this.
So yeah, that's so that's what a WA is. So when you hear me say WA, there's other orc words I'll probably explain later, but WA comes up the most. That's what that means. It's like, just look at the context of how it's being used. That's how orc words are used. They all have multiple meanings.
Right.
And you just have
because they don't have a lot of words they use.
Yeah, you have to like piece together what he's saying based on context.
Yeah.
So that's what WA is. Now let's start. I kind of went over the Ork Lifecycle a little bit. So we know that they're fungus.
Yeah.
But orcs don't come first. When spores first latch onto ground and propagate and start to grow in an area, the orcs aren't the first ones to show up because there's subspecies of orcoids, of which there are 3. And they are vital to the orcish ecosystem.
Right.
And so it starts with squigs. And so squigs are basically the orc equivalent of animals.
Mm.
If we could also do like Flintstone things and use our animals as technology.
It's a living.
Yeah, so the squigs range
You said medical squig at one point.
for any purpose what you can think of. Give me a thing. Just say a task that is done with a tool.
Fixing a car.
Yeah, you know, we got an oil squig for that.
Of course we do. Of course we do. An oil squig.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of one that's like, no way.
Cutting hair.
Give me another one.
Cutting hair.
The hair swig.
Is there a hair squig?
Well, there's a hair squig. You said cutting hair, right?
Yeah, you said cutting hair. So
Don't you dare tell me that there's a toupee that is just a kind of guy.
It's not a toupee. So they're basically...
It's not a toupee,
They're just a
Tony.
mouth, pretty much,
Uh-huh.
with a tail of hair that just comes off. And it can be like pretty much any color. Right. Typically black, though. And then like that's how if they want hair, like a lot of orcs have like mohawks.
Yeah.
So they just line them up
Yeah, they
on
get hair
their head.
Do orcs have hair naturally?
No.
Those are all hair squigs.
So
Yes.
Yeah, those are all hair squigs.
If you see an orc with a beard, he's made that beard by sticking clusters.
So cutting hair, no, but the orc barber
Growing
would have
hair.
hair.
There might be scissor squigs. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe to cut the.
Well, because some squigs you don't use them when they're alive. You use their bodies. I can't confirm that though. I can't directly say that I've read that there is that, but
right.
You got me on that one. But hair squig, oil squig. There's sniffer squigs. They bloodhounds basically. You got your squig hounds. Those are just can come in many forms as I understand it.
But they're like attack dog type things, I imagine.
Yeah. Your average when you say squig, the most prominent image that comes up is a demon version of Pac-Man on legs.
Yeah, I'm seeing like a little meatball guy.
Yeah. They are a ball that is mostly mouth.
Yeah.
Full of huge giant fangs and 2 legs, and that is your like average squig. They vary almost infinitely. Like there's squigs with 4 legs, there's squig with 2 legs.
Right. Squig is more of a term like we would use animal.
It's just there's a squig for everything, and then they're also a food. They're the herd. That's what they they eat. They're pack animals.
Their entire orcs bring their ecosystem with them in the form of squigs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds like they're more of like a superorganism that forms their own. Yeah.
They're mounts. They're also siege beasts.
Yeah, squigosaurs.
Squigosaurs.
Fucking
what else would they call them?
Everything.
Yeah, big old squigosaurs.
So yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah.
It's kind of a meme, but there's a squig for everything.
Oh, and don't forget about the squigoth.
Yeah, that's like
that's
a siege style of it's a
it's a giant 4-legged like elephant squig, but they're like the size of titans.
Oh.
Yeah, like imagine a gigantic blend.
Knights, not titans.
Between like a triceratops and a rhino, and you get like kind of the idea, but like way bigger.
That rules.
Yeah, it's like a walking.
It's
a tank fortress.
It's like Lord of the Rings, bringing that back in here.
Right.
Yeah, the elephant they ride in on.
Yeah.
Has the big fucking like canopy little thing on the back.
They built a little house on it.
Yeah, they just make those, but out of like scrap metal and spikes.
They put a bunch of scrap metal and spikes on this
and guns.
beast
Lots and
of
lots
burden.
of guns.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's squigs.
Where do you think the metal's coming from?
So squigs come first. Squigs established. They spread. They start like pretty much preparing the surrounding ecosystem for the orcs because they'll just eat whatever.
They'll eat whatever. I imagine they get rid of anything that might graze upon the growing fungus.
They pretty much exterminate like the local fauna and flora.
Yeah.
Like it's not explicitly stated, but this is how it happens in my mind. And then the snotlings show up. Snotlings are so like less than even a goblin. They're like so tiny. They're
He's
like
putting his hand
2
very
feet
near
tall,
the ground. Yeah.
roughly around there. They're described as looking like a juvenile Gretchen, which Gretchen are basically just goblins. And yeah, the snotlings are just kind of... I couldn't find a definitive statement on how intelligent they are, but it's assumed by me, and I think everyone else, that they're like borderline animal intelligence, or like maybe like great ape,
Right.
At
very, very dumb.
being generous, yeah.
Right. Like it might understand like whatever you're trying.
They'll follow commands,
Yeah.
but they're not good at it.
They'll follow commands, but
They can be
you can't
herded.
actually get them to talk back to you in sign language.
Yeah, they're like fucking sheep, basically. But they instinctually begin to farm the fungus. And specifically, though, this is... I don't know if they would dig it, or that doesn't come up until the the orcs show up, but typically they live in the cesspit, the drops. It's the giant orc communal latrine.
And they live in the piss and shit pot.
Yeah, where they
Snotlings do.
Yeah, where they tend,
Oh, wow.
because that's fungus grows down there, and then the squigs live down there too, who eat the shit,
Right.
kind of like pigs.
Yeah.
And then the cycle repeats.
Until eventually.
And the snotlings also herd the squigs as well,
Right.
and feed the squigs because those squigs will eat them.
Yeah,
Imagine
I'll do it.
you notice over one summer that there's like a new tribe of like very tiny green men, and they all ride around on these little Pac-Man guys. I wonder what's going on in the mountains. And then a year later, there are 8-foot tall, giant, shredded guys like, we came here to fight because all we know and like is fighting.
Oh no!
Yep. So they prepare the squigs, and then like basically the mushroom supply.
Yeah.
Then the Gretchen show up. Gretchen bully the snotlings
Right.
to doing more work, and then they themselves begin to prepare for the orcs.
Right.
They instinctually know this is going to happen. This is an important feature of... I've said instinctually a bunch of times because that's how all pretty much orcoids function, is on instinct, which less so the 3 subtypes. They still function instinctually, but less specifically than orcs do. So Gretchen just have an innate knowledge of like, I gotta get these snotlings in line. I gotta start building like houses and shit, like huts or whatever, so the orcs won't be mad at me or will bully me less, at least at the start. And yeah, so they start doing that, and then they're like gathering supplies, yada yada yada. Then the orcs show up and immediately bully everyone and say I'm in charge.
Yes,
And
as
then
you do.
It sounds like
Pretty much they carry on and just wait for something to fight or go hunting or what have you.
It sounds a lot like every new generation that occurs is just like a bigger bully. And then eventually
Yes.
enough of them get together where they're like, let's just keep going across the entire galaxy.
Let's just go ruin somebody else's day. Yeah. Fuck these guys.
They're not out to ruin someone's day. They're out to have a fun time,
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Now,
which just happened to ruin someone's
You
day.
know what I mean?
That's their problem.
It is.
You don't like it? Kill me.
I
Should
buy
have shot me better.
Yeah, that's how the orcs think.
that this species could instinctually know how to propagate itself. Most animals do. That's how things work. That's what instincts are for. And so I buy that they farm themselves the fungus. I buy all of it right up until we get to the spaceship part. What do you mean they start building spaceships?
I'm really excited for the explanation because I know it, and it establishes orcs as a menace. Because why the fuck would they know how to do that?
Yeah. Well, I could see like a bunch of planets that they're on. They just take your spaceship. Hmm? It's the grim darkness of the 41st millennium.
But what if
they got castles and log cabins and also shitty spaceships?
But what about a planet that doesn't have any space tech? They still make spaceships.
Oh.
Yeah. So, orcs. The scenario I presented just now explaining the orc life cycle is assuming that new fungus has just spread.
Right.
To an unpopulated orc area.
Yeah.
Basically.
There's no orcs around here yet.
Yeah. But if an orc settlement is already established, it'll just continue to grow. Mm. And then once enough orcs have gathered, then they begin to start to advance. And as long as, say, the guy who's like making their bows and arrows or whatever the fuck, like maybe that the person who like builds contraptions for them or whatever in like a feral orc tribe, it's called a pig doc. Mm-hmm. He's sort of like a little like blend between a pain boy and a mech boy, like a primitive, like a
caveman,
medicine man, but he can also whip up like a steam powered something or whatever, maybe like eventually. But orcs grow to the point in mass and in numbers where the mechs, who are hardwired to just have engineering knowledge and science.
Oh.
Same with the pain boys, hardwired to just be curious and then just have medical knowledge and then unlock more medical knowledge. This is how like all the orcs function, and orcoids to a lesser extent, is that their instinctual knowledge starts pretty much from day one. Like, so I have an example from a book, which is let's see, it has an orc, and it's describing he's the war boss of the novel that the Imperium is fighting, and then at one point it cuts to him like remembering the past of when he was born, and he's in a sack under the ground, and he's very uncomfortable all of a sudden.
Right, and then Saruman's there.
Yeah, kind of. No, they're more badass. They don't need help.
Oh, yeah.
So, he's cramped and it pisses him off. So he breaks the seal and then dirt falls in, which pisses him off even more. So he starts scraping away at it until he digs himself out. And then he's just like, oh, fuck. Light. And so they show up and it's like, they're like functional, but they don't know things yet. Like, they still have to be, like, introduced to certain concepts.
They have to learn still, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're born with, like, an innate curiosity that leads them to,
Yes.
like, their specific specialty.
Well, he specifically comes out, and then he notices another orc, and he's like, enemy? ? He immediately is hostile.
Yeah.
And thinks of just like, oh, no, he might be stronger than me. If he's stronger than me, he'll kill me. I need to get stronger. And so he looks around, and he picks up a rock. He's just like, this will make me stronger.
This will even
Like, he knows this somehow.
Yeah.
And then he sneaks up behind him and fucking bashes him on the back of the head.
Got his ass.
And then they have like a fight, but he ends up winning. And then the guy had a club, and he was just like, oh, this will make me like a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Leverage.
Leverage.
That's just how he is for a while. Like, it takes him a long time to like trust and get integrated with other orcs.
Hold on. You know how hard it is to bash an orc on the back of the head with a rock? You have to slam dunk it on him.
He's also an orc.
But his head is in his chest.
Yeah, but their arms reach to like the floor.
That's true. Do you think maybe like they're proportionally, like their legs are where their arms are, like proportionally?
Maybe. Yeah, they do have pretty stubby legs.
They're pretty stubby, and their arms are real long.
So yeah, that's the Ork Lifecycle essentially.
Yeah.
But that's like for feral. If you're in like an already established like Orc Empire, they're pretty much born, and then after a while you have to figure out like what their deal is, and then they'll be naturally drawn to it. Like there's an example from Prophets of Wa, which is an audio drama, where a spawning happens. This one's a little weird. I don't know if this is like sets a precedence or not, because it's actually like because of shenanigans done by the Mechanicum or Mechanicus. But a bunch of new orcs show up, and it pisses off all the other like orcs there, because they call them Weirdboyz, and they just show up and they're just running around and screaming and like don't know how to like be people, and there's just like goddamn Weirdboyz, like they're just so mad, and they're like,
we live in a society.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a bunch of mech boys in a Big Mac, and he's just like, stop touching my fucking wires, like, you know, and stuff like that. Like, or a bunch of snotlings spawn too, and they're all in his gargant and like eating shit. And he's just like, God damn it! And he's just like, like someone get rid of all these fucking snotlings.
That's awesome.
So yeah, apparently they start out as a wild boy. If they're already in a society, they'll get taken in. They're taught. One of them in that story gets adopted by one of the mechs. It's described as. And the Big Mac is pissed about it. He's just like, why are you letting him touch? He's like, he's just curious. Like, he's got the spark of the mech in him. That one does.
Yeah.
He's like, I can see it.
He's just a little uncooked.
Yeah, and so apparently they'll do that. If you're like them, they'll teach you if you're like a newborn.
Oh, look at him go! Look at him go!
We could tell he was destined to be a mech boy from the beginning. He kept ripping them wires out to see the sparks and putting his fingers in the sockets to shock himself. He had the spark of the mech boy in him.
Yeah, it's also pretty normal for them to be born, and then apparently they hide until night, and then we'll go and hide until they get big enough and they can become a part of society. So I'm assuming that happens in more like mid-range, like, or because the artificial spawning they didn't do that. I'm confused on that, honestly. If I could find more definitive answer to that, I'll update.
I imagine like
episode.
Like let's say that the spores spawned in the sewer, and they take over like a large section of the sewer, large enough that orcs begin to form. But it's still like a sewer. So, like, I imagine that there's not, like, soft dirt he could be growing in, so he grows on whatever patch he can. He's probably the size of, like, he's small for an orc, probably. But, you know, orcs, if they have input of, like, matter, they'll get bigger over time, as long as they're fighty enough. So, we were lurking down there, and then I would come up at night to do some real lurking. Just hiding. Making sure no one sees me. What'd you do after that? Oh, every morning we go back into the sewer. Hide again. Mm-hmm. Can't be caught lurking.
So
I can't stop doing that voice. I'm going to keep interrupting you.
I enjoy it.
That pretty much sums up the life cycle.
I mean, logically, the end of their life cycle is whenever they get murdered by a space marine.
It's when they die. Yeah. Quick note is that how long does an orc or any of the other orcoids live? Like, what's their natural lifespan? Nobody knows. I
presume it's until somebody gets them.
Yeah.
It's just because, one, there's no way to measure that if you're a different species, and two, orcs don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
they're not measuring.
Yeah,
like they don't care. So now we get to orc culture. So they do have culture,
spelled with a K.
Yes, which is often they're not thought to have that by other races.
Right.
Like they're just thought of big dumb brutes, which they are. But there's more to it than that.
But that don't mean we don't got no culture.
And an orc genetically inherits their culture. Is this correct?
It seems to be that way.
Oh.
Because I remember, like, commandos being like some orcs are just commandos. Like, you just pop out of your sack and you're like, I am the night. I am the shadow. And, like, orcs are notoriously, like, not subtle or stealthy. So much so, like, there's, like, a nice little, like, a little snippet of, like, this Imperial commander executing, like, the survivors of this battalion for cowardice. Because they're like, dude, they're in the trees and shit. Like, we need to adapt to guerrilla tactics. Orcs don't do that, you coward. Shut the fuck up, die. Because orc commandos are just so unorthodox. But yeah, some orcs just pop out like, yeah, I am the knight. Like,
so it's...
lurking.
Mm-hmm, they're lurking! They're lurking!
So your clan wouldn't make you a commando genetically. Commandos can happen anywhere, but most of them are blood axes.
Okay.
Because they're the sneaky gits. That's
they
that's
have
like
discipline and shit.
In general, their clan likes tactics like that. So the most commandos come from the blood axes, but commandos still do occur in other clans.
Okay, got you.
I mean, same as any other massively reproducing species that, like, branches out like this. You're going to see, like, this group tends towards one direction because that is, like, the basis of their genetics. Mm-hmm. But then, like, another group that's, like, their sister clan, they can be completely different because, like, they grew up in a completely different area. But that, like, does change their, like, culture and genetics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a argument for why that is, but it's not appropriate for right now. I'll explain that.
Highly sexual.
That's part of the that's part of the very that's going to be the end. That's part of my thesis. But yeah, their culture. So orcs are like incredibly simplistic with their approach to basically everything. Mm. So the way they decide who's in charge, he's the biggest. That's it. That's the only requirement.
Elegant system.
Yeah, and you don't have to be smart. You don't have to be anything. It helps if you are.
Right.
Some orcs do become big because they are intelligent and they manage to outmaneuver opponents versus just be like bigger and stronger than them. And then another thing, like something else that's like emblematic of like, look how simple they are. Their money is teeth. Their teeth, which they call teeth.
Yeah. Because
orcs grow teeth like sharks. They shed them about every like 4 to 5 years ish. They grow new ones.
Right.
Plus
you can punch them out of all your neighbors' heads all day.
So you're losing teeth yourself at like a steady rate, and then you also get fights, which you'll knock their teeth out or they knock your teeth out. You know? So everyone pretty much always has money. Poverty doesn't really exist for orcs.
But what value do the teeth have?
As currency.
Yeah, it's money.
That's
it.
their singular use. Got
One
it.
of my favorite.
Yeah, what money does the paper cloth dollar have outside of
money?
our system?
Value is ascribed.
Yeah.
One of my favorite minis.
I just assumed that since it came out of their body, there might be some secondary function.
One of my favorite minis for Orcs is Captain Badrock. He's one of the freebooters, and he's like doing the Captain Morgan Captain Morgan rum stance on a chest full of teeth.
Of course he is.
Yeah,
And now this is also brilliant because they completely avoid inflation because the teeth have a steady value.
Right.
A tooth's a tooth.
Yeah.
And that they also they degrade at a steady rate.
Right.
So they're really tough when they're actually like attached to an orc. But once they fall out,
right,
they start to they will corrode and like eventually degrade after like a few years.
Yeah, probably without a blood supply, they probably get very mummified and crackly, and they break. And
yeah. So this ensures that like orcs can't like hoard wealth. Like if you have
a perfect society.
Yeah, if you have teeth, like number one, you know how old they are.
Yeah.
So it's like if you get teeth, it's better to just spend them because if you hold on to them for too long, like you don't know how
bad. Yeah.
So you have to like it's noted that there's like orcs who have a lot of teeth are like constantly checking on their teeth to see if it's gone bad. Mm-hmm. Like your money has an expiration date. It's very fun.
He buried his treasure of teeth here. Oh, are we gonna go dig it up? Why will we dig them up? They ain't worth nothing no more. They all dissolved in there. What we really want is to wait here, because he's going to come bring another chest, we think. And we're going to take them.
We're going to get that
The
one.
fresh teeth.
And if you're curious, any other kind of teeth doesn't really have value.
Right, like they're not picking teeth out
like
of a
human
guy.
teeth, like, not really,
They have sentimental value.
any value, yeah. Even Gretchen or anything like that, no. Squig teeth, maybe. But then another, I guess it's one of the last things I'll talk about for this episode is colors. Colors are very important to orcs.
Yes, one of my favorite memes. Red goes fast.
Oh, yeah.
So orcs believe certain colors do certain things.
They're right.
So maybe it's contested. I think they do, but whatever the case, this is based on codices and stuff like that. Is red ones go faster, or red paint job is usually like what the rule is called, and it's in multiple editions, and it's a rule you can take with your orc army, and it just makes you painted your car red, it goes faster now. That is true. Yeah. The red ones do in fact go faster.
Yep.
Is that because of the psychic energy or whatever? Debatable, but they do go faster.
Something about that red paint, man.
Yep, and then blue is considered to be lucky. So,
Okay.
I haven't gotten into the clans yet, but Death Skulls are known for blue because they're looters. They think it brings them more wealth, and then they're also the shootiest orcs. And
we need lots of luck with that to make sure our guns don't blow up.
After they paint themselves blue, like Lucky Blue Gets, I think is one of the rules is called. They do in fact hit more often, and then our shots miss them more often.
Huh.
Is that because they're blue?
Who can say?
Who can say? But
all we know for sure is that rule is called Lucky Blue Gets.
Yeah, and then there's other ones that are less clear. Yellow apparently makes explosions bigger.
Yeah, I think yellow's shooty. Something about shooting.
That's so you know which barrels to shoot to make a big explosion in James Bond.
And then other ones are more like dubious. There's the meme of purple, whatever. I won't get into that. Another weird one, though. This is a weird one. Checkered patterns, white and black.
Does it make their ska louder?
Kinda.
What?
It makes you like it's considered tough, so it makes you or whatever you painted on tougher.
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Which,
I didn't know that one.
Okay, so speculation because it's just like, why the fuck would that do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially like neatly drawn checkered patterns.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't think orcs would do. Supposedly, people argue it's an ancestral memory they have from the Great Crusade, where they got turbo fucked by the Luna Wolves, who wore black and white.
Oh.
And then as a sign of their like respect for them, like orcs acknowledging how strong they are, they then associated white and black patterns to be a symbol of strength.
Right.
Huh.
And then that like leaves.
Is that the case? I don't know. That's one argument I've heard.
My unknowledgeable read is that I fully believe that like if they have like, I mean, they're all connected through the Wa, like, which is their psychic connection to one another, right? That was
Yeah, but not consciously.
not consciously. It's not like
it's in the background.
a direct thing.
The only ones consciously are the Psychers, the Weirdboyz.
But things that like massively influence a lot of orcs, like say there's something called a Great Crusade, wherein a shitload of orcs get murdered. That could absolutely leave an impression on the collective whole, I feel like.
It was because they did like a mass extermination.
Yeah.
There was like billions, trillions of orcs, or
Yeah.
maybe quadrillions, and they killed almost all of them.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And they didn't even get most of them, because there's still unlimited orcs. We're never running out.
That's how it happens, man.
And with that, we're going to end tonight's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy the nature of this content, go and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. You can go ahead and give me a follow on Blue Sky. And you can support us on our Patreon. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.